Look, so check this out. I told y'all, look, man, you ain't never seen somebody that's gonna grind as hard as me. I know this channel small, but we gonna make it big though. We gonna make it big because we gonna stay grinding. And it's morning time where I'm at, but I've been wanting to do this for a very, very, very long time. Part of the reason why I made this channel is, man, I got a very, very colorful life story. I know a lot of people do. I done heard a lot of crazy stories, life stories as I grew up from different people, but I wanted to tell mine, right? So I decided, what's up, John Doe TV, what up? So I decided to start making installments, episodes about my life, right? Because I'm telling you, this thing is colorful, man, for real. And another reason why I want to do it is I want to let y'all know about more about who I am, what I've been through, where I came from. You know what I'm saying? In the hopes that y'all will connect with me, more connect with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can do videos about celebrities and rappers and all of these people, but the core thing is I want to connect with y'all. I want y'all to connect with me. You feel what I'm saying? I want y'all to know who I am. You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you, my story is colorful as hell, right? So we're gonna start, right? We're gonna start in the early 80s, right? So my mama, her name is Queen, right? And my mama was from Dothan, Alabama. She was the baby of like 15 kids. My mama didn't know her daddy. My grandma was married, and all of the kids were from one man, but my mama daddy died when she was 2. And my mama was the baby of all 15 kids. And her father died when he was 2. I think he died in an Orange Grove accident. He was riding a tractor on the side of a ditch, and the tractor fell over in the ditch, and he drowned inside a ditch. This is my granddaddy. My mama, she only had him for 2 years of her life, right? My grandmama had so many kids. My grandmama got married. My grandma was born in 1919. My grandma got married when she was like 14. So like that thing on The Color Purple where you see Sealy trying to get auctioned off the mister and all of that. That really did happen back in the days. And I ain't gonna say that's how my grandmama was done, but she was very young when she married my granddaddy, right? To the point where my grandmama had children, grown children, and her grown children were having children, and my grandmama was still having children. Okay, the reason why I'm trying to explain this to you is because my mama had a niece who's going to be very instrumental in this story, but they only 1 year apart, which means that my grandmama and her daughter was having children at the same time. That's how young my grandmama was when she started having children when she got married. So you see what I'm saying? Okay, so boom. My mama was born in Dothan, Alabama, 1968, I think 1968. 1958. 1958. She was born in Dothan, Alabama, right? So think about this now. She was the baby of 15 kids, right? If you ever been to Dothan, Alabama, it's kind of live now, but it used to be just straight country. You know what I mean? Country, right? So for whatever reason, I don't know. I never asked my mama. My mama passed now, but I never asked her this. But she decided to go to Orlando when she was about 18, right? Now in Orlando, my mama had a sister and she had a niece. The niece that I told you that was 1 year apart from my mama, she lived in Orlando as well. And then my mama also had 2 brothers that lived in Palm Bay. One lived in Palm Bay and one lived in Melbourne, Florida. And then she also had a sister and a brother that lived in Wabasso, Florida. That's how we gonna get to these different places in my life. Just check it out, right? So my mama had me when she was 21, right? Yeah. See, I'm just doing the math here. 20. She had me, she was 20, right? When she had me, it was the early 80s, right? I'm an 80s baby. It was the early 80s, right? But this is what happened. I saw pictures of my mama. I can't find them now. My aunts and my grandmama, they got them. But my mama was a very nice looking lady, man. Thick, kind of Amazon, kind of tall, pecan tan, nice thick thighs. You know, I'm talking about she looked very nice, right? Now you can imagine, Dothan, Alabama is the country. When she got off the bus in Orlando, Florida, it was a totally different scene. It was everything moving fast. Orlando at that time was way, way faster than Dothan, Alabama was, right? So it was at the beginning of the crack era. You know, you got all these big slick, smooth type dudes wearing the silk, the linen, with the Jerry curl, with the long fingernails, with the Cadillacs, you know what I'm saying? Selling much drugs, dope, you know what I'm saying? And this is the time she came to Orlando. Now, can you imagine a country girl coming to Orlando at this time, right? So fresh off the bus, she meets my daddy, right? My daddy was a very, very, very popular guy, had a lot of money. Of course, he was into illegal activities. He actually owned a nightclub at this time, and he had the biggest family in Orlando. And he was like the prodigal son of all the family. My daddy also came from a large family. His mother also had about 11, 12 children, right? His mother was from Ocala, Florida, but she moved to Orlando, Florida. I don't know what time, but she moved to Orlando, Florida, and she had a bunch of kids. And they all from the Paramore area. Now they branched out over Orlando over the course of time, but it was a lot of them. I'm talking about 11 of them. And they were known as the Iron Men. And the reason why they were known as the Iron Men is because my granddaddy, which is on my daddy's side, which is my grandmama's husband, he was an Orange Grove worker. And not only that, my grandmama was too. And he would work really, really well. So they would call him Iron Man because he could pick like 10, 12, 13 bins of oranges. I never been to fucking Orange Grove, but this is the story. This is our backstory, right? So he had so many kids, so they would put them in the Orange Grove, and they worked just like the daddy. So they became known as the Iron Man's kids, right? Because they worked. It was like, it was genetic. They all worked. The girls, the sons, all of them, they worked. You know what I'm saying? My daddy was one of the younger ones. He was kind of like in the Orange Grove, but he was kind of like, he was one of the ones that was kind of like, yeah, I go to Orange Grove, but I really wasn't really with the Orange Grove. You know, the older ones, they was basically Orange Grove workers, right? So, when the crack epidemic hit, they all started selling. A lot of the families started selling drugs. A lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them, because I had uncles and aunts that didn't do none of that. But my daddy was one of the younger ones, and he was the young hip one. So, you know, he was on getting money. You know what I'm saying? He getting money. So my family in the Orlando streets was known as the Iron Man clan, because one thing they would do, they would fight. It was a lot of them, right? So you couldn't never fight one of them without another one jumping in or something like that there. And even to this day, if you go to Orlando, Florida, and you say the Iron Man clan, everybody gonna know them. That's my family. Okay. So my daddy had a little something going on. He seen this nice little country, know what I'm talking about? This little country thing, dome to the big city life. And of course, he sweet talked him. But this is the clinching. My daddy had already been in the military. He had already fought in Vietnam. He was much older than my mama. And he already was married. He was already married with 4 kids. He was already married with 4 kids. 3 boys and 1 girl, right? But of course, back then he had all the money, all that. So hey, it is what it is. So he wooed my mama, got my mama an apartment, got my mama a car. She never had none of this. She never had none of this on. My mama had to work. My mama had to do nothing. All she had to do was be my daddy's side chick. Keep your damn mouth shut. Be my side chick. and you ain't got to do nothing. My dad had plenty of money in order to do this, and this was what was going on, right? So my mama would later on tell me stories that my dad used to beat her sometimes and stuff like that, or whatever. Now I want to break this down to y'all. That was really prevalent back then. You know what I'm saying? Picture Ike Turner. I'm not saying my daddy was like that, but I'm saying that type of relationship dynamic was very, very common, to the point to where you know, everybody knew if their friend girl was getting beat on, but they wouldn't say it. You know, it was like a common thing. I'm telling you, women back then in the black community, as far as I remember, used to get beat a lot, but it was like they wouldn't break up with their husband. It was like a common thing. It was damn near like they was cool with it. I ain't gonna say cool with it, but they was indoctrinated with it. Like it was like, girl, ain't nobody gonna do nothing. Ain't nobody gonna help you, girl. They ain't nothing. What's the name? Whooped my ass last night. Yada, yada, yada. You know, they be sad for a couple of days or whatever, then they make back up. It was like a common type thing, right? So my mama told me my daddy used to beat her, right? So, and so after a while, she got pregnant with me, right? She got pregnant with me, you know, so now she been in Orlando a couple of years now. So she catching on now. She growing up. She ain't the little country girl no more. You know what I'm saying? She's seeing the dynamic that's going on. She's seeing that this man is never gonna leave his wife. She's seeing that she's always gonna be basically his side piece. He gonna come, and when she get out of pocket, he gonna come over there and jump on her. When he jump on her, he gonna come and make up and give all this type of money and give all this type of flowers and buy new things just to make up for it. And then when he get jealous again, he gonna beat up. Meanwhile, he still got a whole wife, a whole nother family that he taking care of, that he living with, and she better not say a motherfucking thing about it. You better not say shit. You better stay in your motherfucking place, or I'm gonna come over here to this other place that I pay for, and I'm gonna beat your ass because you mine. That's what was going on, right? Okay, so my mama went on and had me, and she got tired of the bullshit, right? She got tired of the bullshit. So she called herself trying to initially break away. Now, it was hard for her to do that because you got to think now, she was the baby of all those children. She never had a daddy. Her daddy died when he was 2. Her siblings babied her. My mama's name was Queen. Out of all the kids, my mama's name was Queen because they babied her. They cherished her. You know what I'm saying? She was like the little precious one, right? So she really was a Southern woman. And I'm going to tell you another thing, too. Around this time in the 80s, it was right when women was really first starting to step out on their own and be independent. Before then, it was like stay-at-home moms, that type stuff. But in my mama age group, I remember this. It was the first, like, little, really, what the women was like, hey, man, we finna take back our independence. They were still somewhat codependent on men, but they was taking it back. Then this is when the welfare and all of this hit. So it gave them a little bit more power, a little bit more incentive to be able to make it on their own. I'm just showing this dynamic because it was integral in my mama's situation. I'm gonna show you what happened to her, right? So boom, she started not wanting to put up with what my daddy had going on. She realized that it wasn't the life that she wanted to live. She loved him, of course. He was the only man that she really ever never knew. He took care of her very well, but he was very abusive, and he also had a whole nother family. He was married. He had been married for years before my mom even came into the picture, right? So boom, my mama basically tell my daddy, I don't want to be with you no more. I'm tired of putting up with this. I don't want to live like this no more. Of course, he gets mad, jumps on her, beats on her, whatever. She puts up with this for a little bit while longer. By this time, I'm like 3. She puts up with this for a little bit while longer. Do I remember my daddy being my mama? No, I don't remember my daddy being my mama, but my mama was not a lying type person. And I'm gonna tell you how I know he did it later on in this story, right? So she ended up meeting a guy who worked at a laundromat that was down the street from her house. I'm gonna show you where my mama lived at. If you go to the Orlando Arena, right across the street from the Orlando Arena on Division and South Street, it's a little building. It's a store there right now. It's a little Middle Eastern store there now. But on the corner of that was a laundromat. It's still there right now. To this day, it is still there. That is where she met my stepfather, right? So she started messing around with him, but at the same time trying to break it out with my daddy. So I guess you say my mom was doing her thing. She was, you know what I'm talking about? She was doing her thing. One thing about it, I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna tell you the story. So I'm about 3 years old now. So I remember when my stepdaddy came in the picture. My stepdaddy was a country guy as well from Gainesville, Florida. You know what I'm saying? He had done been married. Well, I ain't gonna say been married. He had done been in quite a few different relations. My stepdaddy had, at that time, about 10, 12 children from previous relationships. Now, I don't know if my mama knew this at the time, whether she did or not, but she ended up finding out, right? So anyway, they started messing around, right? So, but my daddy, he's still trying to force his way into being in a relationship with my mama, but she's kind of basically trying to tell him, I don't want to be with you. But she needed another man to come because she couldn't break away from him on her own, because I'm gonna tell you why. My daddy had money and he had a lot of influence and he was very, 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 very popular, right? So when my daddy would beat on my mama, my aunties and the few aunties and cousins that I had, remember I told you mama had a niece at the same age, well, 1 year apart from her. My daddy would give them money. He would give them money and, he would, smooth things over, man. Tell her I love her, man. This and that, man. Here y'all go. And they would go get in my mama ear. Girl, he ain't that bad, girl. He take care of you, girl. What more you want? That type of shit, right? Okay. So here go my stepdad. So my mama needed a man in order to be able to break away from my daddy, because she had no backup. She had no backup. She was a young woman in a big city. This is the first guy she ever really, was in a serious relationship with, and he your baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was she ended up hitting it off with my stepdaddy, right? So I explained to you who he was, whatever. And somewhere along the line, they fell in love. I don't know if my mom fell in love with him out of, just necessity or however it went. But I do know at some point she fell deeply in love with him. You feel what I'm saying? So anyway, him and my dad had a few run-ins or whatever. I remember one incident where my daddy called him over our apartment, the same apartment that my daddy was paying for my mama. And they didn't get in a fight, but they got in an argument, and my stepdad, it was on a 2-story, and my stepdad actually jumped off the damn 2-story instead of fighting my daddy. He jumped off the 2-story and some kind of way broke both his knees or sprung both his knees or whatever. My daddy never hit him or whatever, but that's what happened. So after that, I remember pretty much my daddy and my mama relationship was over with. It was over with. I remember me and my mama going to the hospital to see my stepdaddy when his legs was messed up or whatever. And she just basically just said, fuck my daddy. Fuck that. I'm not putting up with that shit no more. You got an old lady. You're not going to be with me. You beating on me. You just want me to be your side chick for whatever. And I ain't with that shit. So she grew up. I've seen this happen to a lot of girls. She grew up. So she ended up going with my stepdaddy, right? So now they in a full-blown relationship. I'm about 4 or 5. I'm about 5 years old. And he living with us now. We moved out the apartment that my daddy was paying for. My daddy took back the car that he gave my mama. And we ended up moving in to our own apartment with me, my mama, and my stepdaddy. So not long after that, my mama get pregnant with my sister, which is my stepdaddy's daughter. Boom. They cool. Everything cool. My stepdaddy was a very strict guy, and I didn't like him at much at first, because he was strict. But me knowing what I know now, he was just trying to create structure. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a young man. I need you to rake these leaves. I need you to wash these dishes. I need you to clean up your room. That's what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? But as a kid, you don't see it like that. You thinking somebody being mean to you. You don't like them because they're your dad. They're not your daddy. And another thing, my stepfather would beat my mama too. You know what I'm saying? and he would whoop my ass too. You see what I'm saying? And boy, let me tell you something about a boy. He definitely don't like to get no ass whoopings from somebody that's not his daddy. I'm just telling you this shit. If any of y'all in a relationship like that, a blended family, young males do not like to get ass whoopings for somebody that is not their father. Now, it's for a lot of reasons, but we just feel like them people don't be picking on us because we're not their children. That may not even be the case all the time, but that's just how we gonna feel. You see what I'm saying? Like I told you, I did not like my stepfather when I was a young man, but when I became a grown man, I love him to death. To this day, I love him to death. He's not a perfect person, but I love him to death because he attempted to raise somebody else's child that wasn't his own. And the things that I was getting mad at him about or didn't like him about, it was things that he was giving me gifts. He was teaching me how to be a man, and he didn't have to do that. And when I grew up and I had children of my own, I realized that. Okay, but let's back it up, right? So we're in the mid-'80s, right? Crack era, cocaine era, everything going on. My stepdaddy was a smooth nigga. Look, listen, I ain't gay, no homo, but my stepdaddy was a cool looking dude, man. I'm talking about Jerry Curl. My daddy was a little gorilla looking type dude, tall, slender, real dark. But my stepdaddy was a smooth, handsome nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Like my mama, like a lot of women liked my stepdaddy. Nice build on him. He was clean, always clean. My stepdaddy was super clean. My daddy was clean too. My daddy had way more stature and status in Orlando than my stepdaddy. Of course, my stepdaddy wasn't from there, but my daddy, so my daddy was the big dog. Always was the big dog over him. When you say my daddy's name, it carried weight. You know what I'm saying? And that helped me growing up as well. But my stepdaddy was a smooth nigga when it come to them ladies. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about for real, like for real. Like he had it. Like he was a natural born ladies man. He didn't have to try to be. He just was. It just oozed out of him. That's probably how he ended up with all them kids. But anyway, so we in the mid-'80s, right? Soon after my mama had my sister, she got pregnant again. Boom, with my brother. My mama ended up with 3 kids. My brother is also my stepfather's child as well, right? So now they in a full-fledged relationship. They've been together, let's say 6 years. Let's say 6 years, right? So yeah, about 6 years. They say about 6 years, 7 years. Let's say 7 years. Let's say 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years, right? So my stepdaddy got a nice car, Delta 88 with if you know anything about 30s, he got 30s on that thing. He got the nice rims on it. He got the music in the back. You know what I'm talking about? It's a very nice car for those times. A Delta 88, white, blue inside. You know what I'm saying? He was like, it was a dope boy car, but my stepdaddy never sold dope. My stepdaddy only worked, and that's about it. He just worked. He just worked. He was a working man. But our life had structure. My mama worked. She worked as a housekeeper at some of those hotels on International Drive. We went to school. We had a nice middle class? I'm gonna say a nice lower middle class life. It was nice. I mean, we didn't want for anything. We lived in a nice little area. It was a nice little mixed blended community. We didn't live in the hood not no more. We lived where, you know, your neighbors be white. Yeah, some of your neighbors be Puerto Rican. Actually, I had no black neighbors, you know what I'm saying, when I was going to elementary school. You know what I'm saying? So it was a decent life. You know what I'm saying? Only thing that we had to do was I had to put up with my stepdaddy sometimes get mad at certain things that I did, and I would get ass whoopings from time to time, and I would have to put up with sometimes when him and my mama got into it, he would beat my mama, right? So I remember that we used to go over my aunt's house on the weekends. We would go over my aunt's house on the weekends, and that's like Sunday. If y'all don't remember back in them times, everybody used to go over, like the family used to get together on Sundays. It'd be barbecue, and they would be watching the football. The men would be in the front room watching the football game. The kids would either be in the room or either they'll be outside playing around, and the women will be in the kitchen playing spades and cooking. You see what I'm saying? This is what it was. It was like, this was every Sunday. You know, this is my mama's sister. We would go over. Matter of fact, my mama had 2 sisters in Orlando, Florida. And we would go over one of their houses every Sunday. We would get clean, put on clothes, everything. My mama dress all me, my sister, my brother up. My mama get dressed up with her and my stepdaddy, and we'll go over there, right? This is very important because this is in the mid 80s, right? I told you this is the cocaine era. This is when crack hit and all of this type stuff, right? So I can recall them, you know, smoking weed. Like I knew what weed was. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember even going to school one time when I was 5 years old, and they asked me something, and I told them that my mama smoked weed. For real. I got to ask them about that too. But I'm 5, I ain't know no better. You know what I'm saying? But I did know about weed, and I see my mama smoking weed. You know, they'll be smoking weed at, you know, at my auntie in them house. You know, they'll be partying, drinking. They'll be playing their old, you know, their old school jams. You know, I'll get it, girl. They doing all of that, right? So I'm getting to play with my cousins. I'm also getting to play with some of my aunts, friends, children, and they also with some of my mama's friends. So my mama got the same friends. You know, my mama in her mid-20s. Think about it now. So, you know, they all mingling. So my mom and them did go out. They did go to the club and shit like this. So that's the dynamic on every Sunday. That's what it was, right? So I can recall sometimes they would make us go in the room. And they'll make us go in the room. And then, you know, say we'll be in the room playing this at nighttime. So say the party's still going on till nighttime. They watching football, you know, this or that there. But they also getting high while they watching the damn football. So we in the room, right? The kids, all the kids in the room, because it's nighttime now. So say you got to come out to go pee. So I remember coming out the room to go pee, and I would see them all sitting at a table, right? And they would have a beer can, right? Like a Budweiser beer can. And they would be holding it up to their mouth, but the beer can would be crushed, and it'll be like on the side. And I see them get a lighter, and I see them put the beer can up to the light up to the beer can, and I would see them hit it like that, and then I would see them pass it to each other, you know, and then they'll run me in the room. Boy, go on to that bathroom, boy, get out, grown up in it, boy, get your ass up. And you know, I run on in the bathroom, I run back on, you know what I mean? That's what I would do. So this used to happen regularly every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Me knowing what I know now, they were smoking crack, right? Back then. But you got to realize, it was just hitting, just like Molly and shit had just hit like a couple 10, 12, 15 years ago. That's what happened with crack. Cocaine was like a party drug, a rich people drug around that time, and then crack was the byproduct of cocaine, so it wasn't looked upon as bad until they seen the side effects and they started seeing people start turning to crackheads. Like just like Molly, now they see people turning to Molly heads. So I'm finna bring this home to you, right? So my mom and them, my stepdad and my aunties and them and all of them, they thought they were just hanging out, doing the cool thing. You know, it's cool, we cool. It wasn't a taboo, a stigma on smoking crack at that time, because it wasn't no real crackheads. It was just, they was the first generation of people who was smoking crack, right? Okay, so boom. Fast forward. I get about 10 years old. My daddy barely come around. I see my daddy probably twice, 2-3 times a year. Really because he wanted to keep me separated from not from his other kids, but he didn't want his wife to be finding out about me. She knew about me because people had already told her, and my mama had it out a few times. But my daddy was telling my stepmama, which is his wife, that I wasn't his child. And you know, at the same time, you know, he was, you know, on the low, you know, give my mama money every now and then for me, and then, you know, shit like that though, right? So my mama ended up putting him on child support, right? Ended up taking a blood test, 99.9999%, that's my daddy. So he got to pay child support now. So he paying child support. So boom, he paying child support, but I rarely see him. I might see my dad on my birthday or around my birthday. I might see him before Christmas, like a couple days a week or so before Christmas. He'll buy me a bike or some shit like that. And that's about it. The other times, if I would see him, I would have to be over my aunt's house. And if he would ride past in the car, you know, he might see me and stop, you know what I'm saying, while I'm out there playing with other little kids, or Sometimes my mama had got to the point to where she would just drop me off of my daddy's house. Like she would do that, right? She would take me. My mama ended up getting hell, boy. My mama would take me, right, and she would drive up to my daddy's house. Now she wouldn't knock on the door. I'm just thinking, I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old. She wouldn't knock on the door. She'll point. She'll say, "Hey, your daddy's house right there. That's his house right there. Go knock on the door." So I walk up there. When I knock on the door, when I turn around, my mama hauled ass. She gone. She done pulled off. She gone. Think about it. Ain't no cell phones at this time. So she done pulled off. So I knock on the door. And sometimes my daddy wouldn't be there. Sometimes it'll be my other sisters and brothers who I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be like, I ask them, "Is my daddy here?" And they'll be like, "Who is you?" And then I tell them who I was. And they'll be like, "He ain't here. He'll be back in a little bit." So sometimes they'll let me in. You know, I think at the beginning they would let me sit outside. You know what I'm saying? And I just sit outside. I'm thinking I'm 5, 6, 7 years old. I sit outside on the step until my daddy pull up. Then my daddy pull up. He see me. He's the nicest guy in the world. He the nicest guy in the world. He happy. He happy to see me. Now, me knowing what I know then, he put on a good front for me. He did not want me to know that he didn't want me. He didn't want his wife to really have no interaction with me. He was basically trying to separate the two. You see what I'm saying? She knew he had an outside kid, but now it was becoming a, well, hey man, this boy getting big. You got to be in his life. And he was kind of doing his best to keep it separate, but not let me feel like I was unwanted. So whenever he would be with me, would see me, or my mom would drop me off, he would just get me, put me in the car, me and him go to McDonald's, we'll ride around, he'd give me money. My dad always had money, so he'd give me like money, like large sums, like he would give me like $100, $50. That's a lot of money back then for a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid. You see what I'm saying? Especially being nobody gave me no money. Nobody gave me no money like that. I think I had allowance for my mama and them like $1 a week. You know what I'm saying? So my dad, I would love to be around my daddy because he was a very carefree guy. He would give you anything. You know what I mean? Like this is the only time I was able to get this type of stuff, right? So this is what my daddy would do, but he was inadvertently keeping me separate from actually mingling or being involved with his other family because his wife just had not accepted that he had made another child on her and had an outside kid on her. He did whatever he could to try to bury that, right? But when I come around, it's right in the lady's face. You see what I'm saying? So make a long story short, she never took to me. She never liked me at all. And I understand, I don't agree with it, but I understand why she felt that way. Because can you imagine having a man that you love? You got 4 kids from, you married this man, and he done cheated on you and got an outside kid, and every time you see that kid, it reminds you of his infidelity. I don't agree with it. I was a kid. I wore the brunt of the situation. But as far as the abuse, it was his fault. I didn't ask to be here. And my mama's, I didn't ask to be here. But that was the dynamic. And I'm showing you how I feel like she felt as to be fair to her, even though she wasn't fair to me, even though she treated me like garbage. You see what I'm saying? She would, when I start, going over there, she would actually like feed her children and wouldn't feed me. You know what I mean? Like she would do little stuff like that. She wouldn't speak to me, no shit like that, right? So anyway, I'm just trying to show you the dynamic of how my daddy was. So anyway, at some point, my stepdaddy reverted back to his old ways. I told you he was a player. I told you he was a ladies' man, right? So I remember one morning, we coming out to go to school, and that nice car that I told you my stepdaddy had, when we got outside to the car, it was me, my mama, my sister, my brother. We elementary school, finna get ready to go to school. I had to be around like 9, 10 years old, like finna go to probably 5th grade. You know what I mean? My sister had to be probably like in second grade, and my brother had to be right around kindergarten, somewhere up in there, kindergarten, first grade, something like that. So anyway, when we come outside to go to school, lo and behold, the car, all the goddamn tires flat on the car, and in the back of the trunk, somebody had done scratched in the back of the truck, I hate you, B-I-T-C-H. Right then, my mama knew it was a woman. My mama knew that my stepdaddy was cheating. She was heartbroken. She was heartbroken. Now you gotta think now, she already had a situation with my daddy. She got 2 kids from her stepdaddy. So she heartbroken. By this time, she loved my stepdaddy to death, right? She was heartbroken, right? So my stepdaddy tried his best to do his little explaining thing. But let me tell you what those guys do back then, right? Once they try to explain and the woman be cutting up, they revert back to the abuse. They go to beating them. Shut up, don't worry about it, shut up. And that's what he did. He beat my mama to where to get her to be quiet because he was cheating, right? Okay, so boom. My stepdad ended up getting bold. So he ended up getting the car fixed up, repainted, shit like that, right? So my stepdad ended up getting bold. He would take me with him to go see his side chick, right? He would take me to go with them, right? And for some reason, I would not tell. Maybe I wouldn't tell because I was scared to get ass whooping, or maybe I wouldn't tell because I was scared my mama gonna get ass whooping. But for whatever reason, I didn't tell. You know what I'm saying? I just watched the shit go down. You know what I'm saying? And I could tell that my stepdaddy, the lady who my stepdaddy was cheating with, I could tell he really cared for her. And I'm gonna tell you some real shit. That lady look good, boy. I'm talking about, I'm a little boy like 19 years old, and I'm looking at this lady, and I'm like, damn, she look good. Like I'm telling you, like I told you, I never was with that. I was with that. So I'm looking at her, I'm like, damn, boy, she look good, boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and of course, it's an innocent. He ain't never do nothing too extravagant. He'll just pull up. They'll do a little flirting. She'll come out there, do a little flirting, whatever. And, she'll go about her business or whatever. It was that, but really it was actually getting it on. You know what I'm saying? So now my mama and my stepdaddy breaking up, right? My mama, hold on, let me take it back. Let me go back. Somewhere along the lines, we ran into some poverty, right? And if I had to guess, it was because, remember I told you that I used to come outside the room and see them smoking stuff off the can, right? I'm thinking that the drug use had then escalated to where it was causing us financial hardship. Like I remember some Christmases, whereas we used to be living good, used to have good Christmas. I remember some Christmases where we wouldn't even have toys. Like I remember there used to be a place called Boardwalk in Baseball in Orlando. And I remember one Christmas, my mom and them went to Boardwalk in Baseball and got the little figurines and put wrapping paper on them, and that was our Christmas gift. Now, we ain't stupid as a kid. That's like going to Disney World, getting the Mickey Mouse figurine, putting wrapping paper over it and say, "Here, Merry Christmas." So when I unwrap that shit, I'm like, the fuck going on? Now we just went from having Ataris, BMX bikes, scooters to that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Glasses, mugs, shit like that. I mean, my mama had wrapped up mugs and shit. Like, I'm like, what the fuck going on? You know what I'm saying? My sister, they might have didn't pay attention to shit or was smarter to catch on, but the fuck I was. So I'm like, the fuck this shit going on, right? So I realized we was having some type of financial issues, and it got so bad to where we lost our apartment, right? We lost our apartment, and I remember this because we would stay in hotels. I'm about 10 years old now. We would stay in hotels as much as they came up with the money to do it. So they would be broke. My mama and my stepdaddy, they would be broke, right? My stepdaddy stayed at the car. They would be broke, right? And for some reason, man, I don't know why my stepdaddy wasn't working, but I'm telling you, I'm thinking the drug use had got to the point to where our lives had started deteriorating. On top, he cheating, and on top, they going through it as far as a breakup, right? They not broke up, but they beefing. They arguing all the time. They arguing every day now. It's no love. It's no working together. It's the only reason why y'all is even together is because both of y'all broke and y'all got the kids together and we lost our apartment. So it's like you don't got nowhere to go. He don't got nowhere to go. So it's like y'all together, but y'all really not vibing, right? So I remember some nights we would have to sleep in the car, right? And we would sleep in the car outside my aunt's house, right? And my aunt would come out, she'll say, well, can you can let the kids come in, let the kids come in. So we would come in, me, my sister, my brother, and we would sleep, you know, inside. But my aunt, for some reason, I don't know why I was, but my mom and my stepdaddy would sleep outside in the car. And a lot of times they would argue fucking all night in the car. Fighting, arguing. And I'm telling you, I think it's because of the drug use, right? So make a long story short, they eventually just break up, right? But they break up during the time where we didn't have a place to stay, right? So my stepdaddy took my sister and my brother with him, right? My mama went to stay with her niece and her sister, and I went with them. I'm about 10 years old, right? I went with my mama because of course, he's not my father. So of course, I'm gonna stay with my mama, right? Okay, so the niece that my mama had that was the same 1 year apart from her, and my mama's sister, which is her niece's mama, they were real bad strung out on crack. And the house that my mama had to go stay when she went to stay with her sister and her niece was a total crack house. I'm talking about people in and out, white people, you know, crackheads all in the front room. I'm talking about this place would have, it was like a wood house, and this place would have like 4 bedrooms, and it would be every bit of 20 crackheads in them. I'm talking about this is a real deal crack house. The power would be on sometimes, the power would be off. 1 bathroom, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about the crackheads never left. The only time they left is when they went to go get some crack or went to go hit a lick, and then they would come back and my auntie would let them in. My auntie was basically the house lady, the house crack lady. You know what I'm saying? House crackhead lady. You could come in if you could give us some crack to smoke. It was tricking going on. It was sex going on. It was all type of shit going on. Rubbers, dirty rubbers on the floor. And me, I'm the only kid in the crack house. I'm 10 years old. I'm the only kid in the crack house. I'm watching all this shit, dog. At that time, I had no friends. My only friends was some of the crackheads that befriended me. You know what I'm saying? Like now you gotta imagine now, if you ever been around a bunch of crackheads, it's a very cutthroat environment. They'll be your friend, but they might only be your friend because they see you got something valuable. They might be weirdos, might be, you know, pedophiles, they might be anything, you know what I'm saying? Now, Lord, thank the Lord, I never was approached no way, no shit like that, because by the time 10 years old rolled around, I was a full-blown killer. You know what I'm talking about? I kept me a pocket knife, and I really stayed with my mama so I could protect my mama, but also because I ain't had nowhere to go. You see what I'm saying? I had nowhere to go. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't go with my daddy because my daddy had his other family. You see what I'm saying? So that was like a no-no. Like my daddy was keeping that separate, right? So my dad was into drugs too, as far as like selling. I told you it was big time. It was big time at this time, right? So some kind of way, I would go to school from the crack house. Right? So I would end up wearing the same pair of pants. I would get home to the crack house. I hated going home from school. You know what I'm saying? Because I would get home from the crack house and I would have to wash out the same pair of jeans in the damn tub. I had to wait till the crackheads out the bathroom. I'm talking about everybody in this house crackheads, bro. I'm the only kid there. I'm 10 years old. I'm the only kid there. And my mama, she getting more and more strung out, right? When she first went to the crack house, she was beautiful. Still had her youth. You ever seen somebody who just started using crack? They was beautiful, still had her youth. But around this time, she had started, you know, getting emaciated. Skin started sucking in, you know, it was taking her up under, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just watching the shit go down, you know what I'm saying? So I would have to get off from school and I would have to go and wash my clothes out in the tub You know what I'm saying? Because I had no money. My mom ain't had no money. I had no money. And I would have to wash my clothes out in the tub. And then I would have to dry them on the stove. So what I would do is I would wash the pair of jeans out. And I'm a kid, 10 years old. If you ever try to wash a pair of jeans out on your hands, that shit ain't easy, man. It's then like you then need 2 people or one of them scrub boards in order to wash the jeans because the material is real sturdy. So I would manage to do it. My mama wouldn't help me. I would do it on my own. And then I would hang them in front of the stove, right? So sometimes when and then I think I had one pair of shoes from Payless Shoe Store. If you ever know what Payless Shoe Store is, it was where all the cheap shoes came from, right? So I used to wash the shoes. The shoes started stinking because I didn't have no socks. So I had went through all my socks. And anytime I would leave any of the clothes in the crack house, the crack kids would take them. So I ended up with just like 1 or 2 pair of pants, 1 pair of shoes, and the rest of the shit just got stolen. You know what I'm saying? When I go to school, the shit be gone. Come back, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? I can't, and nothing I could do about it. Nobody know who got it. It's just gone. So I remember sometimes when I used to hang my jeans up over the stove, I would cut the oven of the stove on and hang the jeans up over the oven of the stove. I'm only 10 years old now. The jeans would get burnt because I would fall asleep sometime waiting on, because, you know, it take hours for jeans to dry, especially in front of a damn stove. And I had to have the jeans dry in order to go to school tomorrow to have some clean jeans, right? Lord, already they the same pair of jeans, so I'm gonna get picked at anyway. The least I can do is have them clean. Man, I end up burning the front part of the jeans. I dozed off, went to sleep, burnt the front part of the jeans, man. So I ain't had nothing to wear to school. I ended up having to go to school with the damn front part of the jeans burnt up, man. Do you know them kids picked at me so bad, bro? They picked at me so bad. Like I used to cry. I used to get picked at so bad at school, right? I had stopped wearing socks because I ain't had no socks, but the shoes used to stink real bad, right? So I had one teacher, her name was Miss Gordon, and she noticed it, but I was always smart at school. I always get honor roll and everything. But when that started happening in my life, my grades started slipping, but she knew that I was real smart. So what she did was she called me, one time she called me, she waited, all the other kids went to lunch, she called me back and she said, listen, she said, I know what's going on. She said, you ain't got to tell me, you ain't got to talk about it. She said, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. She said, I'm gonna go buy you some clothes. What size you was? And I told her the size. She said, what size shoe you was? I told her what size shoes I was. She said, I'm gonna buy you some clothes and I'm gonna buy you some shoes. She said, I'm gonna buy you some school supplies too. She said, when we go to lunch, I want you to double back. I'm gonna put you at the end of the line. She said, I want you to double back and I want you to get these clothes and I want you to put them in your book bag. I want you to get them shoes and I want you to put them in your book bag. I want you to get these school supplies. I want you to put them in your book bag. And don't you tell nobody I bought them for you. Don't you tell nobody where you got them from. Don't you show nobody. When you come to school tomorrow, this is what you have on. And that's what she did for me my 5th grade year, Washington Shores Elementary. I never got a chance to repay her because I ended up going on, moving, life went on. I don't know if she's still alive right now, but that was, out of all my teachers, that is the teacher that I remember the most, because she looked out for me just because she saw a young black kid drowning. She saw what I was going through, right? Okay, so my mama's still living at the crack house, right? This 5th grade. My mama's still living at the crack house, right? So my daddy, he ran the block a couple blocks away from where the crack house was at, right? And my aunt and them, they used to go to my dad and buy crack, right? My dad was big time. I told my dad was big time. So word got around to my daddy that one of the loves of his lives had got strung out on crack. Plus it was his baby mama. So I think my auntie and them must have told him. So I remember him coming around to the crack house, right? And he was talking to my mama, I don't remember what they was talking about, but I could tell that my mama was trying to tell him to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, take care of your son, like take care of him. You know what I'm saying? He take care of him, right? And my daddy always had a lot of love for my mama. Let me tell you something. He always loved my mama, you know what I'm saying? Because in his eyes, he saw that young country girl that got off the bus, and I'm his kid, and that's my son's mama. So he always had love for her. It was just, a toxic type of love, right? And so when he saw her strung out on crack, I cannot tell you how he felt about it because I don't know. I never talked to him about it or whatever. But I'm gonna tell you what I do remember, right? I remember my mama and my daddy going in that same crack house. I remember my daddy being in that same crack house with my mama, going in the room for hours. I'm sitting on the couch with the crackheads. I'm sitting on the couch with all the crackheads. My daddy go in the room with my mama for hours, and then he'll come out the room. You know what I'm saying? He'll come out the room. He'll give me a couple dollars. He'll jump in his nice, clean Cadillac, and he'll leave. And I wouldn't see him again for months, weeks, however long. So as I got older, I realized that I think my daddy was actually tricking with my mama. You see what I'm saying? He was giving her crack. When he saw that she was strung out on crack, instead of trying to help her, he was giving her crack in order to have sex with her, and then he would leave. Maybe he felt like it wasn't nothing he could do. Maybe he felt like, you know, hey, maybe it was get back for her leaving him. Maybe he just didn't want to have he didn't want to go through the trouble of trying to help her. I don't know, for whatever reason, or maybe he did try to help her. I don't know. But all I know is they would go in the room, and I would be sitting out there. Remember, like on Forrest Gump, how Forrest Gump was sitting outside? I'll be sitting outside just on the chair with all the crackheads. It was a crack house, so it was other crackheads in there. They know what's going on. They all sitting in the room, front room with me, and my mom and my daddy in the room in the crack house. And they'll be in there for hours. And then when he come out, he'll give me a couple dollars, rub me on my head like this here. He'll go on out, get in his Cadillac. Then I would go in there, I go into the room and check on my mama. She'd be in there on the side of the bed, you know, and she'll just look at me, and I look at her, and I ask her, she okay? She'll say she okay. And that's just what it was, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I assume, you know, that my daddy was, you know, tricking with my mama, and he was using her addiction against her, because I'm pretty sure he was giving her drugs, you know, to be able to be with her, and she was going for it because she was strung out then. But the reason why she got so strung out is because she was already doing drugs with my stepdaddy when their life was good, and then when they ended up breaking up, the depression of the whole situation just took her down, bro. And I would ask her about this, and that's exactly what she said. She said that when he left her, when he broke up with her, when he cheated on her, the depression of the whole situation just made her even just that more sadder, you know. So look, but that's where I'm gonna end this at right here. That's part one. That's part one. So we gonna end part one at 10 years old. That's part one. Y'all hit that like button, man, and I'm gonna give y'all part two, maybe later on today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I just want that to soak into y'all, because I wanted y'all to understand, you know, part of my life, and so y'all can, you know, get to know me a little bit better and what I've been through and stuff like that. But everything I told you is the God of heaven truth, as far as from my perspective. I gave y'all my life from 0 to 10 years old, and that's just what it was. So we're gonna end that at part one. Get in the comment section, let me know how y'all feel, you know what I'm saying? You know, all the comments is welcome. It doesn't, you know, say what you want to say, man. It don't bother me. Actually, it's cool. Whatever y'all want to talk about, whatever y'all want to say, I'm fine with that, man. I understand. I was telling y'all this so y'all could get to know me. I'm putting myself out here. It doesn't hurt me like that. You know what I'm saying? Anymore. You know what I mean? I'm grown now. I've been dealt with that trauma. And I'm comfortable telling y'all. Actually, it's something that I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's actually part of the reason why I started this channel, because I always wanted to tell my story, and maybe one day I'll write a book, because it gets better. Well, as far as like more crazier. So like, share, subscribe, comment to this channel, man. Chill.